Julie, thank you very much for joining me.
You're more than welcome, George. I'm looking forward to this.
It's going to be an absolute pleasure, and I'm so grateful that you've given me your time today because having known you for a period of time, I know how much you are into all things business and leadership and management and money and mindset. So I'm really looking forward to getting into that.
Yeah.
But could you give our audience a quick snippet on who you are?
Ooh, okay. So I'm going to start at the beginning very briefly because it absolutely applies to what you've said about money and finance. So I started my career as an accountant. I was a management accountant, which means I am really good with figures and creating things out of figures and analysing figures and really getting into the nitty-gritty of what's working and what's not working and why that is so. I went from that to audit. And audit is around analysing systems and processes and following procedures. And if you don't follow a procedure, know why you're not. You can't short circuit something without knowing why you're supposed to be doing it the right way in the first place. So it can lead to problems. And then I basically went from that into systems, and then I basically went from that into learning and development. And I say learning and development, I went immediately into recruiting, managing, training, and finding positions for graduates in a training scheme within a UK-wide national retailer. And that was my first launch. I can still remember my first training program. I can still remember my first standing up in front of a group of people. I can still remember having no confidence about knowing what I was talking about because I immediately went into training people how to manage and lead when I didn't really see myself as that initially. But of course, me being me, and I know you've said you know me, I don't teach something if I don't do it. Therefore, what I was teaching everybody to do and be, I became. Mm-hmm. And then 2011, that was a long career in various guises. I was partnering my own firm. 2011, some say I had a midlife crisis. I just said, I sat there one day and went, what are you doing? I decided to change everything again and launched into learning about money, really learning about money and what it is and how it works and assets and liabilities. Even though I was an accountant, I was doing the books for firms as such. So really learning what that meant for me as an individual, what that meant for me and my future, what that meant for me and how I operate and work, working hard or earning the money and then getting the money to work for me. Very different. And I did that in 2011 and I'm here now. So I have got a small property portfolio because I'm lifestyle rather than empire. I still do leadership and management consultancy selectively. I am creating online programs. I help people, I'm going to say it for free. I also help people and they pay me. And as somebody said to me the other day, they see me as living my best life. And I'm like, I've got a lot more to do yet. So I've not stopped because I have got a lot more to do and a lot more to give and a lot more to share and a lot more people to help. Yeah. So my mission, again, I'll say it because I don't know what we're going to talk about. My mission is to enable conscious leadership globally. And if I could get to every person on the planet, I'd love to. I clearly won't, so my mission will never be achieved. And that's fine because that's my shining light, my red thread, my golden thread, my North Star, whatever you want to call it. That's what gets me up and going in the morning.
I love that. That's a big statement.
Yeah. Huge. And we all need one of those.
Yes.
Whoever's listening to this, whatever business you're in, you need your mission. You need it.
Totally agree. But I want to pick you up on one point you made because people might not have understood what you meant.
Okay.
You said you're a lifestyle.
Yes.
Rather than an empire.
Yes.
What does that mean to you?
What that means to me is to basically do what I want to do.
Yeah.
To do what I want to do, when I want to do it, how I want to do it, in the way I want to do it, rather than being and having the money to do that and the choices to do that, rather than having a huge business that has got multiple members of staff, hundreds, tens, 20s, hundreds, thousands, where I am at the beck and call of that rather than me being at the beck and call of me, and choosing what my diary looks like. So I go for lifestyle, nice lifestyle, good money, good income, versus having a lot of people and a lot of stuff. I don't want an empire. I don't personally need I don't need a billion. I don't need multi-millions. I don't need it.
No.
So I go for the freedom aspect rather than the real, and it doesn't have to be hard graft, but it can be restrictive, and I choose not that.
Yeah.
I've had that.
Yeah.
And I've chosen not that.
Nice.
And again, I'm in a different position. I'm in a different place in my life as well.
I think the reason I wanted to bring that up even a little bit deeper is because I think a lot of equestrians are going to be a lifestyle naturally.
Yes.
Obviously, they need to pick it for themselves, but the way that they design their life is around their lifestyle and the hobby and the practices within that. So while it's really important for you to think about whether you're an empire or a lifestyle, make sure, even being a lifestyle, what you've got there is a fantastic balance.
Yeah.
That it's working for you. You're not having to sort of still run around and work for everyone else. It's making it the right type of lifestyle.
Yeah. And just on that point, if you, as the listener, it doesn't matter what business you're in, it doesn't matter what stage of life you're in, want to go and assess your balance, if you go to wealthbeyondmoney.today, there's a free questionnaire, and it is free, entirely free, where you will be able to assess your life balance across your money, your relationships, and your health. Because what we're looking for to have the best life we can is to have those three as balanced as we can, with the recognition, and I'm nodding, with the recognition that they do go out of balance. But knowing they're going out of balance is very different to them being out of balance and you not even knowing it, and then you can pull yourself back in. It's a completely free questionnaire. It will take you about 4 minutes, 20 seconds to do. It's not long. You get an immediate response.
I think that's well worth doing. For, again, equestrian space is notoriously work rich, time, money poor.
Yeah.
And I think if you're on the fence or would like to look deeper into yourself and how you're running things, definitely go and have a look at that.
Yeah, it's a series of questions on each of the subjects, and the questions will make you think. They're not hard. The questions will make you think. It won't take you long. And then once you've done that and you've got the assessment, you may go, actually, I'm in a better place than I thought I was, which is great. Or you might think, I need to refocus slightly to get myself slightly more in balance. And that's great as well. Nobody's scored 100%.
No.
I created the questionnaire with my co-author of Wealth Beyond Money. So there's a book that goes with it, which is good. I'm not pitching that, but it's a good book. It's on Audible as well. I'm not 100%. I'm one of the highest, but I'm not 100% because when I get busy, my health goes out the window. My fitness goes out the window. So I know where I'm out of balance.
Yeah. No, I relate to that.
Yeah.
There's something that always has to give. For me at the moment, it's giving up. I've had to sort of give up or delay my horse riding, because I'm having to prioritise the business, and I've also decided to prioritise health as well, which again is one of the ones that I would usually let go first, but realising that actually for me to function fully, I need to really keep that.
Can't you tie the fitness into the horse riding?
You can. It's the time element. I find the time element of the riding is what holds me back, which again is probably something I need to work on in myself and make it tie in together. But yeah,
I'm sure there's a way around that.
Yeah. No.
Says I, who believes there's a way around everything.
Always. The optimistic.
Yes.
And so before we really dive in, I just want to, I know you've had some experience working with horses, and I thought this would be really great just to mention.
Yes.
Slightly alternative perhaps to what most people may or may not have experienced. So you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, I can. Okay, so just so you know, I like horses. I always have. I used to ride as a very young young girl, didn't maintain it. Tried again when I was in my probably late 20s, didn't maintain it. So I like horses, I like being around horses, and I know the benefits of horses. So the last, about 2 years ago, I think, I met a woman who has a stables and a yard down by Wisley in Surrey, Oakham. Her name's Wendy. And she does leadership training, personal development days, events, programs, using the horses as the sounding board.
Okay.
So they're healing horses. So and of course I'm like immediately intrigued and want to go and experience it. And it's to do with energy. So our energy field is about 6 feet. A horse's energy field is about, I think it's 16 feet, so it's much bigger. And they intuitively connect, being herd animals, pack animals. They intuitively connect. And as all you in the equestrian world know,
Yeah, well, yeah.
well, I'm hoping maybe some of you do, maybe some of you don't. What you think is what the horse picks up. What you feel is what the horse picks up. So we were working on beliefs, and if you're true, if you're in alignment, so what you think, what you say, what you feel, what you emit energy-wise is all in alignment, the horse will basically do what you ask it to do. When it's not in alignment, they don't. And I have to say, those horses didn't quite do what I was saying. So what I was thinking, or what I thought I was thinking and feeling. So it taught me some real lessons. So it's healing with horses. It's looking at your beliefs with horses. It's working with a horse intuitively to follow you as it would a herd leader.
Yes.
So if you lead well, the horse will follow.
Yeah.
And you're not riding, you're standing beside it, so the horse will follow. But if you're not leading well, they basically don't. And that, when you think you're a good leader and the horse doesn't follow and it's just standing there looking at you, it's an incredible experience. And you're leading them through like chicanes and through over obstacles and round barrels and things. So you're taking them on a sort of a bit of an obstacle course. And when you get it right, they just come along. But that's when you're completely in alignment.
Yeah. I think that's so fascinating, because I think there are, whilst you say most people probably know that's how they work, that it's all about the feel, I actually don't believe a high proportion of equestrians understand that is how it is. They think it's all about, I want you to do this, so you should do it.
Oh.
And I'm not necessarily saying that becomes a negative experience, but actually if they shifted and was like, working with the horse through the correct energies, I think that would make a big difference. I've experienced it where, obviously I'm a horse transporter. I experience horses not wanting to load regularly.
Yes.
And again, that comes down to energy. And the fascinating thing for me in that sense is an owner might try and load their horse and notoriously had problems. I've had I've had experience over the years where the horse doesn't load, it doesn't like this, it doesn't like that. And I say, okay, well, don't touch the horse. I'll take the horse from the stable. I'll load the horse.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying that every single time it goes perfectly.
Yeah.
But there's a very good percentage that go a lot better than what they would have previously.
Yeah.
And that, no one's conscious of that happening. But when you actually draw down to it, it's a very similar thing. If you've got the right energy and you are giving off, a lot of people get nervous about the loading because there's been problems. So
So you're emitting nerves.
Exactly.
And the horse picks up on it. Yeah. I absolutely get it.
And that's why I wanted to bring that up, because I love that experience that you've had. I think more people should be having
it's a phenomenal experience to have, because you think on a personal level, you're in alignment. You think that what you're thinking, what you're saying and what you believe in is in alignment. And it so often isn't. And when you're not in alignment, the results you receive, the results you achieve, aren't really what you want because you're not in alignment. And some people say, oh, that's really woo-woo. It's not. It's how we operate. It's understanding what we are as humans and how that interconnects. So with working with the horses on that level, very often what you'd hear is when you had, and it's happened to me a lot, so when I had a reality moment or a learning or a recognition, not only would the horse that I was working with come with me, horses in other fields would whinny.
Okay.
So it was like, oh, I've got it. And it was a confirmation.
Interesting.
Around. I mean, it's a phenomenal experience to have. And they're such beautiful creatures. Such gracious creatures. And just one story I'll share. I was working with a 6-year-old. Most of the horses are older, so they've had their career and then they go into this healing career. And, and you wipe them down, you clean them of the energies when you finish, so they're left whole and healed. They're left well. They don't pick up on and carry the negative. I was working with a 6-year-old. I think it was an ex-race horse that hadn't quite made it. I can't even remember Rodney. His name's Rodney. It's a grey. And you ask the horse if they want to work with you. And they don't always say yes. And I had a real issue with asking a horse to work with me and it saying no because I was being rejected by a horse.
Wow.
And I had to get over that. I was like, woof, I don't like that. So anyway, you work with the horses to work out which one you're going to work with. Some of them say no, some of them say yes. Some of them just ignore you like humans. It's an incredible experience. And so I ended up working with Rodney. Rodney said yes, he wanted to work with me. And then we got into a bit of a tussle on the energies.
Interesting.
Oh, I got bitten.
Okay.
Now, didn't break skin, completely my fault. Nothing to do with Wendy and the horses and it not being feasible. But we got into a bit of a tussle. And what happened, big learning lesson for me, I got into male energy. Okay. I was telling a male horse what to do. It didn't like it.
Interesting.
Oh, yeah. And we ended up, he got a bit frisky. I'm saying don't get frisky. He didn't like that. I'm trying to control him. He didn't want to be controlled. We ended up standing at a fence. And before I realised it, he just sort of got me there. Didn't hurt. I'm like, you bit me. And he sort of went, yeah. And I thought, oh. And I turned to Wendy and said, just realised what's been going on. So I calmed down. I came out of that combative energy because I was in it. I came out of that combative energy. He calmed down. Everything was fine.
Yeah.
And he sort of said in my head, told you.
I love that.
I was just like, oh, of course.
Yeah.
I'd gone into conflict. I'd created conflict.
Yeah.
I'd done it. He hadn't.
Interesting. Yeah. Because they are essentially reactive animals, aren't they?
My fault entirely.
Yeah.
I had a bruise, little teeth mark bruise for a little while. I kept looking at it going, learn your lesson, learn your lesson.
Well, he certainly left a mark on you.
Yeah, he certainly did.
Oh, no, well, that's brilliant. So I think wrap that section up and just say that equestrians are like, or any humans, being aware of their energies and how you're putting that out to your horses.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely change whatever's going on for you if there is something going on.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
This next part, I'd like to dig deep on money mindset.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the reason I want to look at this is because I am coming across many clients and many people who are absolutely stuck that they have to work every hour under the sun. They can't make ends meet. They don't have any time. It's just not working for them. And I don't believe it's an industry standard, but I believe we've made it an industry standard.
Yeah, okay, it's the norm.
Yes.
Yep, okay.
I don't believe it has to be that way, but it seems to be that the way people talk and the way the culture is, that we just assume it has to be that way. So
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've listened to Wealth Beyond Money, which you have mentioned.
Yes.
And the first point is it's your choice, reality versus the truth, was one
Yes.
really key point that you made.
Yeah.
And then I want to bring that into how you can assess your money mindset and where you might be going wrong, and then how we can start to look at changing or rethinking that, because it really relates to the RAINS system that I've created. So R, which is the first step, is all about reframing your mindset.
Yeah.
Reframing your thinking about the money, reframing your thinking about how you're running a business, who your clients,
Yeah.
that is the most important part of anything, the mindset.
Yeah.
So start off with, if someone's not aware they've got a money mindset issue, how would you start to make someone think about that?
Okay. We all have a money mindset. Every single one of us. It can change. It starts really young, and I'm not going to go too woo-woo, but it can start in the womb, and can start before the womb. That's probably too much for this podcast, but it can start in the womb. We all have one. For those of us that haven't thought about it, we've inherited it. We have copied it. And the majority of us will get our money mindset from our initial caregiving custodians. And I say that very carefully, because we haven't all grown up with two loving parents who remain married, who are stable and steady. And that can be an issue as well, by the way. I'll explain what I mean by that. But we haven't all grown up with that. Some of us have grown up in single parent families. Some of us have grown up in blended families. Some of us have grown up in single parent families with access to the other parent, male or female. Some of us have grown up in single parent families, male or female, without access to the other mainstay in our life. Some of us have been brought up by grandparents. So all of these cultural differences impact our money mindset. Some of us have been brought up through a care system. Some of us have been brought up with, foster parents. Some of us have been brought up by adoptive parents. Some of us have not had that good fortune at all. Some of us have been brought up in completely different countries and have come into the UK. So all of that creates a money mindset. So what is a money mindset? In its purest format, your money mindset is around your beliefs around money and what you can do with it or not do with it, whether you deserve it or don't deserve it, whether you see it as evil or whether you see it as good. All of that creates who we are with money. It creates whether we spend it. It creates whether we save it. It creates whether we value it, and it creates whether we devalue it. And all of that mix comes together. So the money mindset is a huge thing. And basically it's your beliefs around money. And it's your beliefs around yourself and your self-worth, self-esteem, self-value about whether you deserve it or not. It's a huge topic, massive topic. And once you start to, and then I've just remembered something else to add into that. And this is vital, and I'll tell you why this is vital, apart from anything else I've mentioned. You also have a series of values, a set of values. And if money is not in your top 5 values, and I'm going to put a limit on 5, and again, I'll tell you why. If money is not in your top 5 values, you'll probably never have enough or not have enough or do things with it when you get it that don't serve. And why do I say that? Because, so as an individual myself, I have never valued money. Now, the consequences of that, I do now, by the way, I've changed. So you can change all of this. What did that lead me to do was have a job, work really, really hard in that job because I valued the job, I valued the satisfaction of the job, I valued the people I worked with, I valued the camaraderie, I valued the content of the job. What I didn't value was the money. So what did that lead me to do? Working in a job that I knew I could go and get 25, if I left, I could go and get 25% extra income. 25%. I didn't go and get another job. I stayed where I was. So when you don't value money, you make different decisions. And that's a classic. You do things that earn you less money because you don't value the money. And there is absolutely nothing wrong in valuing money. And I do truly believe it's a cultural issue. And I do truly believe we need to, especially in today's climate, we need to change our value linked to money so we can earn more, have more, do more with what we've got. Because by not valuing money, what did I do? Spent every penny I had. Literally. Spent every penny I had. Had a great time doing it. Mm-hmm. Loved doing what I did with spending every penny I had. What did that lead me to as let's go for a 45, 50-year-old woman, single, not in a relationship at that point, didn't have a pension, had a house with a mortgage, didn't have a pension, had a private pension, and then I started to learn about money. And I'm like, what does that lead me to when I get to retirement age, which I'm never going to do, by the way, but now out of choice, not because I have to work, out of choice. What did that lead me to as a retirement age? Government pension, which I never, ever believed I would get, because I thought, the government's broke. I thought, they're never going to pay me any. Paid into it my whole life. And then I thought, well, even if they do, even if they've still got money when I get to that point, how much am I going to get? £800 a month? How do you live on that? Even if you've got no mortgage, how do you live on that? And I know people are, so I'm not decrying it. And in the UK we have that. For how long, who knows? But what do you do with £800 a month? So I started to learn about money. I started to learn about the difference between assets. I started to learn about income generating asset bases, tasks, how do I do more with the money I've got? And then how do I shift that about? How do I, we were having a conversation about silver before we sat down. Mm-hmm. What do I need to do to make my future more comfortable?
Yeah.
Because I hadn't done that up until I was 50.
No. And that is my fear for the equestrian space.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you how many people are in that situation, but because of its nature, you're not necessarily guaranteed to get a pension because you have to have been paying national insurance for a period of time. And I know that a lot of these people are self-employed and doing so. My fear is that people run these businesses candidly, and then they get, if one way of putting it, then they get to sort of the retirement age and they go, oh, I've got to either carry on working 80 hours a week, running around after these liveries, which are doing my head in, or I don't have another choice because I haven't thought about it. Yeah.
And I think, that is the key thing. Think about it. Raise your awareness. Do the questionnaire on Wealth Beyond Money.
Yeah, true.
Genuinely, even if you only do the money bit,
yes.
To forget the relationships and the health, do the money bit.
Yeah.
If you've got Audible, if you've got any access to somebody who's got Audible, get the book. Even if you just listen to the money bit, myself and my co-author Emmanuel have written the book for it to last 100+ years. It's one of those type books. Just listen to the money bit. Because the money bit is the bit you can change. Truly. I mean, I've done it, so I'm talking from experience. I can't teach this stuff. I can't work with people with this stuff if I have not done it. So I've done it. I've changed. It's all a process. Everybody can when they choose to.
So we've got the attention now of somebody listening to this and being intrigued by it. And they're thinking, well, actually, I haven't thought about that. Or they might just be intrigued to know how they could think about changing their mindset. What is their next step? So they might have done your Wealth Beyond Money questionnaire and they got their results and they're like, yeah, I'm really out of balance. What should they then start to do to engage consciously their thoughts around money?
Start learning about money. And I say that, I know that is such a broad subject and such a broad statement. In its purest format, learn about assets versus liabilities. And if you're running a yard, you mentioned livery, if you're running a yard, look at, I mean, how many of you have a set of management accounts? How many of you actually create a monthly or weekly, preferably, statement of cash flow? How many of you are running a profit and loss statement? How many of you are actually assessing the return on investment you're getting from your staff team? I know you were talking about management and leadership. I've worked in businesses, so money's money. Money is a vehicle to get you from here, to get you from A to B. Money's the thing that pays to get you from A to B. Money is an inanimate object. And having money is better than not having money, without a doubt. You know, you can be happy without, you can be happy with. And as a lot of people say, I know which one I prefer.
Yeah.
So how do you first start learning about money? I would suggest look at assets versus liabilities is the key thing. Just do a Google search, do a ChatGPT search. It will give you it. Look at some of my writings. Again, I've started to write about money. I've started to write about these things. But connect it to the thing that you love. Okay, so if you do not value money, you value something that you're spending your money on. Okay? So if you're in the equestrian world, it has to be with horses of some description. It has to be to do with horses. So look at how you're spending your money and on what you are spending your money on. Analyse it, assess it, and that's probably 2 words you're going to go, I really don't want to listen to that. Analyse and assess. You have to. I had to. You know, I'm an ex-accountant. Do I like doing accounts? No, I don't. But analyse and assess where you're spending your money. Look at your bank statements. Look at your business bank statements. Look at your personal bank statements. Look at how much money you're spending on things that you might not need to spend it on. Then start to reassess. Look at how you spend your money on the time that you get off. How do you spend your money? I mean, if you're working 80 hours a week, which I can truly understand, I've done this as a consultant, so I know what that looks like and feels like. I know what you possibly feel like doing when you get in. You don't want to cook. Look at how much you're spending on takeaways. And that's a place to start. Look at how you can minimise that. If you're looking at personal spending, look at how you can minimise that by maybe batch cooking. You know, doing a weekly shop, a good, healthy weekly shop. Pre-prepare, I can't even say the word, pre-prepare food.
Yeah.
So I get busy. And I know when I get busy, my diet is one of the first things that goes. My health is one of the first things that goes. I prepare big bowls of salad. And I'll always have something good, nutritious, fresh in the fridge that I know if I'm in late, I've got a really good, healthy meal that I can eat that I haven't got to prepare. Haven't got to order, haven't got to spend anything on.
No.
With your business, so that's one thing you can do personally. And once you start saving that money, I'm going to say save the money, and I know you don't get a lot of return on investment currently in the UK, but just don't spend it on something else. Keep it, because then that will start you something you can build an asset base with.
Exactly.
In your business, look at your main outgoing, whatever that might be. I mean, I don't know, it could be on, what's the main outgoing for an equestrian business?
You know, like stables and things, it's going to be the hay and the consumables, the hay and the bedding.
Okay, so
massive.
hay and bedding. Look at your economies of scale.
Mm-hmm.
Look at competitors' prices. Don't just naturally go with the person that you've always gone with and you may have gone with them for the last 25 years. Do some assessment of your business expenditure, hay, bedding, consumables, whatever that might be for you. Do an assessment of. Look at how you're using it. Look at how you're storing it. Look at how much it's costing you. Look at the waste proportion. So I'm ex-retail. Look at the waste proportion of what you're doing and how you're doing it. Now, I could be teaching you to suck eggs here. Some of you will be doing it. Some of you won't. Look at how you can control that more. If you've already done that and you cannot control that anymore because you're at the razor's edge, look at all the other expenditure linked around, like your staff costs. Look at who's doing what and how effective they are. I'll tell you a story, brief. I was working with a chief exec in a tech company, directors under her. She was a bit of a control freak. She also didn't like delegating. I was working with her on her communication skills. And she said to me, I've got to talk to one of the directors. She said, I don't really think he's pulling his weight. So I said, all right, okay, let's talk through the process. So we talked through the process, gave her a script as such. She had this conversation with this director and he openly admitted to her, he was on a 6-figure salary, this was a few years ago, 6-figure salary, openly admitted to her he was only working 50% at the time.
Wow.
Because he was waiting for her to have the conversation with him and pay him some attention.
Oh, interesting.
He wanted her time. So he stopped working so she would notice to get her time.
Wow.
50% in a director's position. So never assume anybody is doing what they're paid to do. Never assume that regardless of qualifications, expressed values, they're not always the same as what's internally going on, that people are doing what you think they're doing. And there's nothing wrong. In fact, there's everything right in managing people that are working for you. Again, it's one of those, you have to do it. You might not like doing it, but the more you do it, the easier it becomes. Because you're setting people boundaries, you're giving people guidelines, you're telling people what you want them to do during the day. You're keeping them busy, you're paying them.
Yeah.
You're keeping them busy. And that doesn't mean you don't like them, doesn't mean you don't love them, doesn't mean you don't have fun with them. But you're keeping them busy. Because the costs are one thing you can control. The other thing you can control, and some of you are going to go, we can't do that. Yes, you can. You increase your income. So you put your prices up. Now, I can hear you saying, oh, yeah, but the yard down the road.
This is the biggest belief issue we have.
Yeah, the yard down the road only charges. I can't charge any more of that. I'm going to cut the cost to the client. Don't do that. Add value. Do not cut the cost, add value. And that's a whole nother conversation about how you do that. I'm sure George can talk to you about how do you add value rather than cutting cost. Don't compete on cost because you'll drive yourself into the swamp.
Race to the bottom.
Yeah, do not compete on cost. Add value. Put your prices up if need be. Add value.
I'm very pleased to hear that come from you.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
It's a point I laboured on a few times over this podcast so far, I think. Yeah. And people still struggle with that idea.
And that's a money mindset.
Yes.
That is absolutely a money mindset. Now, who's the top trainer in the country?
For what discipline?
Just give me one.
Carl Hester.
Right. Carl Hester. I bet that person does not compete on price. I bet, whatever that person does, I bet that person puts a price and people pay it willingly. So do an analysis of Carl Hester and see what they do. They're good at what they do. They're the top of their tree. How did they get there? How did they do that? What services do they provide in addition to, which may not cost much more money? That's the thing. What's their added value that somebody pays them, whatever they pay them, versus going to somebody else that's cheaper? And I bet, I'm guessing, purely guessing, I bet they've got a waiting list.
What, Carl? Oh, yeah, probably, yes.
Why
In fact, it doesn't take new clients anymore.
Yeah.
Or at the moment.
Yeah. Why has he got a waiting list at whatever price he charges, which I bet is more than you, if you're in a competitive, like-minded type business.
Yeah.
Why has he got a waiting list and you haven't? Think about the differences.
I think that's a really valid point. I'm just thinking what someone will be thinking, and they'll be thinking, well, Carl Hester, he is the top of the dressage game. Well, he's one of. And so he probably gets that price or the waiting list because he has won... God, my words are leaving me today. Has won, all the world titles. He's at the top of his game. He's got the best horses, the best owners. So there are people that will be in a similar boat to him, but on a sort of a different scale.
Yeah.
What's the answer to them? Because they're never going to be where he is. So how do they add value to their clients?
See, right. Some of you are really not going to like this. I speak the truth. You need to promote whatever it is that makes you special. You need to promote whatever it is that puts you a point above somebody else. You're listening to this podcast for a reason. That may be the thing that you hear that you go, oh, actually, I need to get out my own way. I need not to be the same as everybody else. I need to be different from. So it's about marketing. It's about branding. It's about expressing yourself in a manner that attracts people to you who will pay more.
Absolutely. Just left that there for a moment because it's a very valid point. And I know of somebody, if she hears this, she'll probably call me and tell me she's heard me say it. But, very good friend of mine, very well qualified, does a fantastic job, been doing it for 10, 11 years, is on site 24 hours a day. She breeds dressage horses. She doesn't leave. She lives there, literally lives and breathes it. Frustrates me because she should have the time to do what she wants. But that is what she does, and she loves it.
She is doing what she wants.
Yes.
What's her value? What's her top value? She is doing what she wants. Now, if somebody else wants her to do something different, what's their value?
Okay.
You've got competing values.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So to caveat that, it's almost like no. So she's doing what she wants, but and she's created a couple of great horses out of it, and that was sort of her dream. And I think where I was getting to was she's now getting to a point in her life where they've done all of that and they now want to think about changing.
Yeah.
But they're not able to make the change perhaps because of the values.
Yeah, very probably.
And
there is nothing stops anybody changing apart from themselves.
And I think the reason I came into this point was because they have got a load of accolades. They are trained at this kind of teaching and that, and they've got everything. They've got mechanical horse there, which has never been used, and they've got lots of fantastic training and ability, and many. She's going to call me out probably for this now. But she's got. I'm going way too much.
Call him out.
Going way too much into her own personal thing, but she's got. Corporate background, massive, lots of experience in leadership and HR and all of that. And we talk regularly, and I love her dearly. But everything's there. But it's almost like they don't know what to do with it.
What does she want to do? I take it it's a her.
Yes, yeah.
What does she want to do?
Well, she says she wants more time. She wants her time back. So she wants to sort of vary the business so she's not having to be stuck in the vicinity all the time and go and do more lessons and so on and so forth and charge a bit more for her services. But that seems to be a little bit of a struggle. And I think it's down to the belief in yourself, but also then knowing how to do the marketing outreach. I'm sort of thinking now, I'm talking about it. So I'm just trying to think, when someone's in that situation, how can you help them, or what do they need to do to help themselves?
Okay. So what they need to do to help themselves, excuse me, what they need to do to help themselves is to stop. Stop and think and create I'm going to say mission, and then create a plan from that. So it's not a case of do. It's a case of stop, plan, do. It's a cycle. It's a cycle. But you can't stop to do without knowing what it is you want to do. So you have to have the vision. Otherwise you'll just wander around in circles. And when we do that, we end up going back to what we've always done because it's a habit.
Yes. But does that then come back to the sort of the money mindset? Because I might feel that maybe not them, well, maybe them, maybe others, maybe myself, you get stuck in a cycle of trying to fill the bank accounts in your pockets so that you go back to the thing that you were doing because it's comfortable and you know you're going to keep filling those pockets, and it's not giving you the space to come out of it and reassess and change.
Okay. Very possibly. What you need to do, and some of you are going to go, oh, really? You need to get 6 months' money behind you. So save 6 months' operating costs. Get it behind you so that you know you can operate. And this is a basic change career, change, not job, but change career life process. Get 6 months behind you. Start saving now. Once you've got the 6 months behind you, it gives you 6 months breathing space. When you've got 6 months breathing space, which is half a year, it's a long time, and then you get your plan and you work your plan, and it is working the plan, it's actually doing it, taking action, you can get a lot done in 6 months. A hell of a lot done in 6 months. And you've got the comfort and the security of having 6 months' money, costs behind you.
And I feel like that's a real ideal situation to get into.
Yeah.
But I know that they will be saying, or anyone in that situation will be saying, that's nearly impossible because I'm basically going month to month. So how am I going? Obviously, that goes back to your points about looking at your finances. But to create that amount of money behind you, some will feel that that's impossible.
It's not. If you think it's impossible, it becomes impossible. If you think it's possible, it's possible. So what we think, the words we say in our head, and I'm saying this, I do this to myself. I left a voice message for someone driving up this morning, and I made a statement and then went, but. And on this voice message, I'm saying, why have I just said but? I mean, you and I have had this conversation. Yeah. Why have I just said but? What I meant to say was, and. So I changed my language. I caught myself on my language. So what you say internally as well as externally becomes the internal reality. So if you say it's impossible, I can't do it, you'll never do it. But if you say it's possible, I can do it, you will find a way. You've got to believe it.
Got to believe it, to take the action, and then to achieve it.
Yeah.
It's all well and good trying to believe it and telling yourself something's going to happen, but it's what you do about it and the physical action you take that's going to make the change. Yeah.
First book I wrote was Goal Setting for Change. And I've got like a phrase, the subheading on it is see it, say it, write it, believe it, achieve it.
Okay.
So it's like a 5-stage thing. So you see it. Now, when I say see it, you've got your vision. You see your vision. You've got your whatever, however we do those vision boards, whatever it is we do. Or you've got your mental mind picture. You see it, your screensaver, whatever it is. You see it. You say it. So you speak it. When you speak it, you hear it. When you speak it, other people hear it. They will help you. So you see it, you say it, you write it. When you write it, you're speaking it. When you're writing it, you're seeing it. When you're writing it, the physical action of writing imbues it internally. So you see it, say it, write it, believe it. All those first 3 things help the 4th.
Yeah.
You truly believe it. You take it into your being, into your soul, and you will achieve it. Without a doubt. You do the first 4, you'll get the 5th. And you have to believe it.
Absolutely.
Now that seems a bit woo-woo, but if you've got a plan, and then you bring this into the practical, you create the plan of whatever it is you want to achieve. You create the plan, you write the plan, you see the plan, you speak the plan, you have the plan on the wall, updated, actioned. You know, you can do yourself a Gantt chart, however you want to do it. And you believe it, and you keep it in sight, and you keep it in mind, you keep it in being, you'll get it. You will. I've changed my life too many times not to believe that to be true.
And I think that, and you can relate exactly that process to the whole where we started with this section about the money mindset.
Yeah.
If you actually start going through it, thinking it, writing it, doing it, it then starts to create a momentum for the change that you need. Or you may or may not need, depending on who you are, but most people, it's certainly worth having an evaluation of. So,
just because you've done the thing day in, day out, for the last, I've just remembered a quote I want to say. Just because you've done the thing day in, day out for the last umpteen years does not mean to say that is what you have to do tomorrow. So many years ago, I was in a triangle, 3-way conversation, one of my colleagues and a stranger, two females and a man. I don't know why the gender's important, but it feels like it is, to be honest. And I was listening to them two having a bit of a spat.
okay.
And my colleague didn't always keep up with the most up-to-date stuff. She didn't. She'd got caught out on it before. I knew she didn't. She was a creature of habit, shall I say, as we all are, by the way. And this guy was having this conversation with her. I'm just listening. And he said to her, but have you got 20 years experience? Because she had said, but I've been doing it for 20 years. Have you got 20 years experience or 1 year's experience repeated 20 times? And I ducked. She didn't understand it. I ducked and thought, oof, that's one of those moments. And I was a lot younger when I first heard that. And I stood there, me being me, I reflected, self-reflected, and went, have I got 20 years experience? Or have I just repeating what I did last year? And I started to look. And I started to analyse. I do that quite a bit. I started to analyse, I started to assess, I started to look at what I was doing, I started to look at how I was learning, what was I learning? Was I learning new ways of doing and being and creating? Was I actually keeping up with or falling behind? And I've just maintained it. You know, I mean, I'm looking at AI now. I'm creating an AI platform. So I have not rested on my laurels. I could have. I haven't.
No.
I've changed. I change. Because if I don't, I'm going to go backwards. My dad, at the age of 90, said, well, Mum told him, said, I wish I'd kept up with this technology when it came out.
Right.
They would have been 60, World Wide Web. They'd have probably been about 60 when the World Wide Web hit, .com, boom, blast, whatever. Internet arrived. They'd have probably been 60.
Right.
They chose not to learn it. At 90, my mum and dad, but my mum specifically, wanted to see her grandchildren. And she couldn't work the gadget to get FaceTime.
Yeah.
She couldn't work it. Now, I, of course, helped her, so she did, but she couldn't work it. And she said, I wish I'd kept up with this. There's nothing stopping you.
And that is a very, very good note to end on, because as I always talk about on the show, the equestrian space, it's very industrial, it's very outdated, and people don't want to move with the times. And so whilst this has all been about money mindset, it's been all about your beliefs and changing your habits. Well, it's all been about change.
Yeah.
Don't be scared of the change and embrace the new technologies. You know, if you've heard about AI or you haven't yet heard about AI, go and have a look at it. Search ChatGPT, have a little look at it, because that's something the space also struggles with. But yeah.
Can I add one thing? And I know we've just ended, but can I?
No, not
can
at
I
all.
add?
We haven't, no.
I just want to explain to people maybe what a habit is.
Okay.
And I'm sure maybe you've done it on previous episodes.
Yeah.
A habit is purely and simply a shortcut. A habit is a set of repeated behaviours, thoughts, beliefs that allow you to get from A to B quicker, that allow you to get from A to B without actually thinking, consciously thinking. So a habit is a shortcut. We don't think about breathing unless we've got a cold. We don't think about walking unless we've broken our leg. We don't think about getting in the car and driving from A to B. Do you know, if you've ever got someone gone, how did I get here? It's because habit has kicked in. So habit is a shortcut. It's a repeated set of behaviours, which is why when we change, it can feel like hard work, because we're changing the habit. And every single one of us can change every and any habit we have through designing and creating a new habit that gets us to the new place that we want to be. Every single one of us can do that. It is our choice. So if your choices are not leading you to where you want to be, look at your choices and change them.
And what is your truth versus your reality?
Yeah.
As I started this bit on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is it really your choice, or is it really the reality of what's going on, or is it the truth? I've sort of messed that bit up there, but there we go. We'll cut that bit out better. Just picking up on that, we all live in our own reality. Yes.
So our reality is of our making.
True.
So my reality, George and I are sitting in the same room. My reality of this room is different to George's reality of this room. We will see things similarly, but the reality is very different, because my reality is mine and his reality is his, even though we're in the same space. Because we don't know, really, without a lot of assumptions, and we know each other quite well to a certain point, we don't know what assumptions each of us is making about this reality. Oh, I could go deep on that.
Unfortunately, we're out of time. Well, thank you ever so much for joining me, Julie.
Thank you.
There's so much more I'd got written down to potentially get into, but maybe that's a future podcast.
Yeah, happy to.
But thank you ever so much. And just one more time, what was your book called, or your books?
The co-authored books that's got a lot about money in it is Wealth Beyond Money.
Yep.
wealthbeyondmoney.today for the questionnaire. Amazon page to see the others, which are around coaching, goal setting, and stress management. Stress the reality. You'll find those on Amazon. I've got an Amazon authors page, and there's more books coming, but yeah, they're the ones that are out there at the moment.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much for joining us.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.